There are multiple ways to get legendaries in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, so want to run down the best tactics, including one that unlocks after finishing the main story of the game, but there are also ways to increase the amount of legendaries you can get in the same amount of time. So let's quickly touch on that first. I already touched on the luck stat in a previous video, but want to go a bit more in depth on it and also share more tips on how to increase this, because the higher this stat is, the more often you see higher rarity loot. So you can view your score by going to the skills menu and then by viewing your hero stats, and then you will see your loot luck stat right there. It's a combination of your base luck multiplied by a ton of different values. One is, for example, equipment, and we found a very good amulet with 30% extra loot luck, which you can very easily get by doing the Ron Rivote side quest in the Tangle Drift region. If you don't have this region unlocked yet, talk to the bean in the overworld. This is the area you reach after unlocking your second class, so pretty early on in the game. Then when inside this region, just follow that main mission, and then at one point you are also able to go to the side quest over here. It's near the Murder Church fast travel point. And then after completing this mission, you get the Rivote's Amulet of Adventure, which always seems to have the loot luck stat on it, but your level is important here. Joyce did this on level 31 and got the 15.8% loot luck, while I did it on the max level 40, and got the full 30% loot luck. So totally wait till you hit level 40 to get the most out of this item, and overall it's smart to farm legendaries also on the max level so you can hold on to them longer. But leveling up also increases your base luck stat, so the higher your level, the higher the chance at a legendary. On level 40 you also unlock myth ranks, which can then give you extra loot luck in the druid section, and every 4 levels you can spend a new point here, so make sure you have the nodes connected to the loot luck one, and then by gaining new myth ranks when simply earning XP, you can further increase the loot luck. Of course, the lucky dice you find in the overworld or in all the other regions will count towards your loot luck, so you can just search for them. I will, by the way, also leave guides with locations in the video description to make it a bit easier. But another relatively easy way to get more loot luck is through the Aaron G Shrine, which increases your loot luck by 25%. So you can find this shrine in the overworld after completing the Carnock's Wall main mission. You find 2 of the 4 shrine pieces already close by in dungeons over here on the map. So just complete them and you'll find the shrine piece at the end. For the third one, we want to complete a side quest, which you find next to the Necropolis area over here. Talk to this character, and then by completing the dungeon that is needed for this side mission, he will clear the passage to the dungeon behind him, and inside the dungeon you find the third red shrine piece. Now from there, the final one is a little further away over here on the map, but I do think you can already get it the moment you reach this part of the overworld. So then just go here, and then you got all 4 of them. I did do this after completing the main story though, but again, I do think you can already do it before that. So then activate the RNG Shrine for 25% extra luck. Now let's look at the actual farm places. Where can you get some amazing legendaries? Of course, if you like the video so far, then leaving a like on it would really help me out. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we got way more Wonderlands content coming your way. So there are multiple ways to farm legendaries, but one of the easiest ways is by repeating main mission bosses, by simply going back to their boss arena. And then with more loot luck, you will also see way more legendaries spawn. After you killed them, in order to repeat them, you want to quit to the main menu and then hit continue, so you will spawn very close by and you can drop down again. For the Sun boss though, you can also just fast travel back to the nearby fast travel points, then run back to the boss arena, and then it will spawn every time you jump down. Bosses of course have dedicated drops, which you will see more often, but you will also see a lot of other legendaries by farming them over and over again. So just pick the boss you kill the fastest, and you will see the legendaries come in. But if you're looking for a specific type of legendary, then you can spend time in the Chaos Chamber. Also, by doing the Chaos Trial, you can increase your Chaos level, which also increases your loot luck. And Dennis mostly tried this activity and also has way more other tips to get the most legendaries out of it. So let's hear it.
That's right. In case you're not aware, you unlock the Chaos Chamber area and game mode after you've completed the main story, so do that. There'll be a short epilogue after the credits, and from that point you have access to the Chaos Chamber. From here you can talk to the Dragon Lord to launch a trial, after which a portal opens up that sends you into the first encounter. If you enter it, you will have to complete a series of combat challenges similar to the ones you find in the overworld, with an obelisk encounter and a boss fight thrown in at the end. And these trials are a great way to focus on a specific type of gear, because if you make it to the end, you enter the loot of Chaos Chamber. Here, a chest with loot will be waiting for you. This one will drop purple gear very often, and it can also drop legendaries, but way more interesting are these bunnies on the side. Each of them has a gear icon above their head, which represents the type of gear they will puke out if you feed them some of the crystals you've collected during your Chaos Chamber run. So yeah, you can already see the benefit, right? As even though the rewards are still kind of random, you can focus on what type of reward you want for your character. Are you maybe looking for a specific assault rifle or SMG, or do you want a badass new spell or an armor set? Chances are these bunnies are going to drop something you really like. They've done so for me on a lot of occasions already. So in order to make the most out of this system, we want to reach this final room with as many crystals as possible. And you can already start optimizing your crystal gains by picking an extended run before starting. You can cycle which type of run you want to play at the Dragon Lord as well as the Chaos level for the run you're about to attempt. Obviously, an extended run takes a bit longer to complete than a normal run because they add 3 extra encounters and an extra obelisk to the mix. Which also means there's a lot more encounters for you to earn crystals in, and therefore you can grab more loot at the end. Of course, you also want to pick the highest Chaos level you're comfortable with before starting the run, because as Jordan already told you, higher levels will further increase your loot luck. And then, when you're ready, you can enter the portal to enter the first combat challenge. Right from the start, there's already another thing you can do to increase the amount of crystals you get from this encounter. After spawning in, you will see a bonus objective on your quest hut, which you'll want to complete. These range from destroying a statue, to completing an encounter within a certain time, to killing enemies while standing in a specified zone. No matter the objective, if you complete one during the encounter, you will get an extra loot dice filled with crystals at the end of it, next to your usual rewards. After completing the first encounter, the Dragon Lord will be waiting for you, giving you a choice of 2 randomly selected curses. These are debuffs that will be active for the rest of the run, and they increase the amount of crystals you get, as well as give enemies a chance to drop crystals on death. All curses are labeled as easy, medium or hard, and the harder the curse, the higher the increase the drop rate and crystal gains. Now, especially the medium and hard curses can be pretty nasty, so we recommend only picking those if you're comfortable with them, otherwise a tough modifier might bring your run to an early end, which is not something you want. You have 3 lives to start with, but losing all of those and then dying means your run will end and you do not reach the loot of Chaos Chamber. And by the way, if you're curious about the effects of the different curses, Mental Mars has a great summary of them on his website, so we'll leave a link to that in the video description. After picking your curse, 2 new portals open up, and after picking one, you get sent to the next encounter. The image in the portal actually shows you the kind of reward you will get at the end of it, and the one we want to look for in particular is this crystal chest, which will grant you even more crystals at the end of an encounter. If that one doesn't show, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. The Dragon Lord presents you with 2 more curses, so that can increase your crystals too, but again, it's kind of a risky thing to do, and the loot chest and Bud Stallion don't give us any extra crystals. However, what you can do before you jump into the portal, provided you have the resources to pay for it, is turn the next encounter into an elite one. This will cost you crystals, 50 at first, 100 for the next, then 150, 200 and so on, so at first glance it seems like a bad choice. However, every single enemy in an elite encounter will have a way higher chance of dropping crystals, regardless of your current curses, so it's once again more of a risk-reward thing. If you're not strong enough, you might lose your progress, but if you make it through the encounter, you will likely make more crystals back than the amount you invested. And it's smart to do these elite encounters as soon as possible, as the enemies in the Chaos Chamber encounters get progressively harder, so doing elite encounters later in the run will present you with much tougher enemies. So with these tips in mind, we were able to reach the final loot chamber with roughly 2800 crystals in reserve, which means that you can grab a lot of bunny loot on your way out. Keep in mind that even though the interact prompt says that you need 500 crystals, you can pay less if you still have some leftovers. This will drop less gear and the quality is less good too, but no point in wasting crystals since you don't keep them after a run anyway. So spend them in batches of 500 while you have enough crystals to do so, then spend the final leftovers before you leave. Oh, and by the way, if you're playing in co-op, your crystal counter is shared during the encounters, but in this room, every player gets to spend their own crystals and loot is also displayed individually, so no one can ninja loot that sweet new gear you just got. So good luck and happy looting. Remember to leave a like if you liked the video, remember to subscribe subscribe as well if you don't want to miss the next one. You can also watch our previous video on the Swordsplosion shotgun and other crazy legendary weapons by clicking on the screen. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye!